ever so gently. In stillness, resting in breath awareness, abiding in the temple of soul. Gently noticing the breath, flowing, rising from within, releasing, where it is to abide in stillness, to rest in the temple of the soul, the abiding place of the Most High I Am. And ever so gently, sense emerging from within. Sense emerging in the sensory body temple, the abiding place of the Most High. And just simply allow your breath to move through every cell of the body, every organ, every muscle, every nerve, every bone, every chemical messenger. The breath, the fuel of life, affirming a sense of renewal, a sense of regeneration, a sense of being refreshed. And ever so gently, come into full presence, alert, aware, in gratitude. For this very right now moment, in full presence, grounded and anchored, knowing and accepting all is truly in divine order, and that's real. So knowing this time is divinely appointed, I know it is awesome. I know it is the edge of most amazing insight, clarity, expanded awareness. And in the ebb and flow of listening and speaking, our true alchemy is at hand now. For the old gives way. And the boundlessness ways beyond that which we have ever imagined. Allowing it to be so. We simply allow our fingers to slightly move, our toes to wiggle, our eyes to continue to remain open and even wider. The light from within shines before us. Ashe. Good evening, everyone. So, in the open-eyed meditation, with this particular meditation about ways that we typically don't see, yet we know. But just to have some imaging, reflective imaging. So if we were in the stillness and breath awareness, eyes open, perhaps sometimes closed it, mine did. In your awareness, in particular, in your awareness, just in this context, did you notice anything that you're open to sharing? Only in this context of the open-eyed meditation, in stillness, in breath awareness, noticing anything in awareness in particular to share. That's the inquiry. And I will pass you the microphone so those who are on Zoom. Good evening to those who are on Zoom. We're glad you're here. Those who are live streaming with us, we're so happy you're here. And we trust you also participate in that open-eyed meditation in breath awareness. And we can also, Eric, open it so they can also share. I know I saw Jean there and someone. So. And I will, the microphone so everyone can hear you who's online.
Yes. Quickly, I just became aware of the stillness, and whatever I was holding on to when I came in, I dropped it.
Yeah, Ashe.
I should.
Marlene, anything?
Just want to remind everyone to speak directly into the mic, because the people online.
So, excuse me. So you're saying during the meditation, I'm saying as we came out of the meditation, I was totally relaxed in my body and felt at peace. Yeah, it was and I've never experienced open eye meditation. So that was when you said it, I was like, what? Yeah, but the visual, yeah, was very relaxing.
Ashe?
Ashe.
So Jeff, did you go into the meditation? I noticed initially you were not in the meditation. Did you go into the meditation though?
it's toward the end I began to settle into it. I was quite restless at first and was at first trying to get all of the externals outside, to quiet down a little bit. And then soon I began to settle into it. Um, when that happened, I felt perhaps that there was like a warmth that began to wash over, and I began to sort of like see a shift in almost like the dimension that I was in a little bit. Like, oh, I was in a certain dimension before I walked in, and then upon sort of allowing myself to um, waft into the space that the meditation sort of called me into, I began to sort of feel that, in a sense, like the quantum shift. I would like to have maybe think that, oh, the next time I can get a little bit deeper, but I felt grateful for, well, what I was able to feel in terms of warmth and peace. So.
So, good evening to you, Miss Jean, Diwaga, Veronica. Can you guys hear me? No, they can't hear me.
No, she said yes.
I didn't hear Alvin. You heard Alvin?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. Can you hear me now? No, I can't hear you either. Okay.
Better.
Testing, testing.
Just, okay, that should be better. We can hear that, yes? All right, here you go.
Okay. But now I'd like to hear them as well. So can you speak again? So, Dee or Jean or Vanessa?
That's much better.
Okay,
Oh.
they can't hear me still, Eric.
Oh, I can hear you.
Oh, you can?
I can hear you now, but I couldn't unmute.
Okay, good. I can
Thank
hear
you.
Okay, so anyway, I was asking if there's anything, were you able to be in the open eye meditation?
Yes.
Okay, is there anything you notice that you'd like to speak just in that context of the meditation, open-eyed and the stillness? Is there anything that you notice that you would like to share?
I noticed that the Hertz frequencies and the swirling image helped me to move into that really still place that's deeper than my mind. And I had been thinking about that all day, and it felt just so welcoming and allowed me to move into dissolving. So I'm very grateful for that. Thank you, Ashe.
Ashe. And Erica, if you move the screen around like this way.
I just got here, so I was just here for the end of the meditation.
Okay. And you're here, amen, Ashe.
I was just relaxed.
If you're talking, I can't hear you.
It looks like somehow the three of us on Zoom are in our own little vortex.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, there they are. Let me see here.
Mm.
I had to put
Yeah.
closed caption on.
Yeah,
Waving.
folks on Zoom, you
Oh,
cannot.
there.
You can hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay,
not hardly.
really? Okay. Okay, we're working on it. So I'm doing my best not to continue because I really am interested in hearing a communication, that hearing you, listening to you, and you listen to us. Um, so while Eric is working on this, oh, they still can't hear me.
I can hear you a little bit. Your
Okay,
voice is really soft.
I'm directly in this microphone. Any closer will be in my mouth. So, Vanessa, can you hear me?
I can hear you more or less. It was very clear for a few moments a little while ago.
Okay. And
When
Jean,
Dr. Seth went and got that other microphone,
Jean, can you hear me? No. Jean? See, Jean can't hear me. No.
it's just soft.
How about now?
Better?
Better.
It's better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Because you guys are really loud. And,
Well, I can hear you fine now.
yeah, I can hear you guys real good. Okay.
That's funny because usually I'm so quiet.
So we're good now? Okay, good. And I'm going to sit down. All right. So, in addition to, okay, I'd love to have, if this will, Dr. Seth, if this will move around any further this way so we can see them, that would be great. No, just the screen. Okay, just the screen. Bring the screen around some more. Because this is fine.
Here, why don't you move your chair up about a foot, Dr. Claire?
Okay. Oops. You should take it, honey, because it's going to keep falling off. Okay, much better. Much better, much better. All right. So, Dr. Seth, anything for you like to share from that?
Well, my eyes kept closing.
Yeah.
They really did, but I found it very relaxing. But yeah, my eyes kept closing. So, but it was good. Maybe if I could have kept them open and staring into that shape. But yeah, they kept closing.
Yeah, and I noticed also the more I could keep my eyes open, I could see the difference in the imaging. It was like I could see movement. I could see movement. I could see more depth. And so that's how our brain functions. We don't see that, but that's our brain activity. Those waves, those frequencies, that's our brain activity. And so I know last week we spoke about the brain and the mind, that conversation. And then we looked at the different states of brain activity, from high alert to falling asleep. And the brain, the activity, the waves or different frequencies. And this was a particular meditation for deep relaxation, not a particular one. But if you will Google, you can Google 8Z brain waves, and there's so much information. See, look at the science about this whole thing. It's fascinating, I find. And so we asked you from last week to practice letting everything go and releasing everything. And that's interesting. So did you notice practicing letting different things go, different thoughts, different ideas, different emotions, different agendas, different feelings, different attitudes, different points of view? Did you notice letting things go? And if you did, and as a result, what came out of that? As a result of letting things go, as a result of melting down, as a result of releasing, what did you notice? In meditation, we noticed, deep state of relaxation and tranquility and calm. So during the week, as you practiced, not sitting down to meditate, but just in daily living, letting some ideals go by, letting some things go. So a moment, reflect on if you notice that, one, and two, what came out of that? Let's have that conversation. And come get the microphone.
I think what I mostly picked up was, can you hear me? Can you hear me? The lady up at the front said yes. The lady down here, nada. Just go ahead, yes.
Are we hearing, we're hearing her all right? We're
are
hearing
we
her,
hearing?
thumbs up?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got
Oh,
it.
Now I
good,
can.
good, great. So the lady gave me two. Great. Okay. Yeah, what I did, practice not trying to judge another person by what I'm hearing the person say or what they're doing. I'm just trying not to go into a judgment. I didn't do that. I just thought about that whatever that person is doing, that is coming out of their awareness, their consciousness at that time, and I'm not going to go into trying to criticize them. So I put that away, so I was more relaxed because I wasn't trying to judge someone, judge a person. So that's what I took away. Ashe.
Yeah, so that's powerful. As she noticed, not judging another person, she noticed that she was more relaxed. She was more relaxed. If you judge someone, you're more intense. If you practice non-judgment, you're more relaxed, like meditation. That was just like letting everything go, dropping down, being still. Like, oh, there's something about that. Oh, I'm remapping my brain in this moment. I'm remapping my brain in this moment. From heightened alertness, from heightened sensitivity, heightened awareness, I'm dropping down, and my brain is responding to where I am in the consciousness of my consciousness. Powerful. What else? Anything else?
Well, I was doing good. I got one here.
Okay.
I was doing good this week with this until Trump got shot. Okay? And so then I went from just non-judgment, don't worry about it, let the brain waves be, to in the chart, which I don't know if the Zoom folks saw this, of these 5 different states of brain waves. But if you notice, the ones that are more about active thinking, problem solving, it's actually a a higher frequency, which means your brain is moving faster. The slower your brain is moving, the more we're getting into a meditative state, into a creative state. The higher the hertz are, the more of a trying to figure it out state we're in. And I'm finding myself thinking all sorts of thoughts of, is it real? But then not just it, but is any of this really real?
Yeah.
You know, real, or are we talking about our own, you know, what we're seeing, if what we're seeing versus what is actually happening? And then who or what is behind all of that as an interpretation? So, you know, I mean, perhaps, but for whatever reason, it seems that the news cycle is prone to have our minds spinning a little faster. When you're talking about hertz, that's the cycles of per second, how many cycles per second, how fast your brain is moving. And it has been a challenge to stay in that slower meditative space, but it's more reactive. And I find myself, see, right now, then today they said Biden got COVID. Now Schumer said Biden needs to step down. Now that's Schumer. Then Trump, right? So I don't know, but and that's life. But I mean, the politics in particular has been harrying. That's just me.
So we can see where our attention goes, our brain responds. Where our attention goes, our brain responds. Isn't that interesting? So what does that say about, what more does that say about what we are, distinct from who identity? There's what we are, occurring as an entity, but how about what is it that's really occurring as an entity? And so, but before we start that conversation, what more? Did you already share, Marlene?
We'll share this one.
Okay.
Exactly. I felt, oh, this one's not working at all.
Just get in it.
Get in it. Put it right up there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, with Trump being shot, I have different folks in my family. Why couldn't it be, you know, a couple of inches? And so I was in this space, well, no, we can't talk about it like that. That's because of our session here, that's me over there. So that's Trump is me up there. That's Trump that's you up there. Would you want to be killed? It's not going.
Can they hear you? Can you hear?
Yeah, can
You
hear
can
you.
hear me. Martha,
Yeah,
I don't
think
think.
they can.
They can hear her.
Yep.
Oh, they
Yes.
They can hear her.
Yeah. So I was in and out all week trying to stay with God is divine order. Stay out of this, Marlene. Stay in your space. That's you over there. He's a child of God. God made him. And if I'm believing, if I have faith in what I'm believing in, then it's going to be all right. So I'm just trying to stay in a state that doesn't hurt Trump, but doesn't hurt this democracy either. So I know divine order, I know God is, and so therefore I'm just going to lay there. So I'm holding that he is a child of God, and I've been staying with it. So that's something for me because I don't like him. And so not to like somebody and still give them the grace to know that God made him and he deserves to live.
I say, so hang on to the phone, that one, because you'll just pass it around. We're going to share this one. You can hang on to that one.
Sharing is caring. Can you hear me? Okay. So, well, first of all, in regards to the topic, I'm from Texas, and so, I mean, I was 4 and 5 when the Bushes and the Perot's ran the land. And like I remember like as a small child the controversy of the 2000 election. And I remember when Michael Moore was the most hated man in North Texas when Fahrenheit 9/11 came out and all of that different stuff. I remember the seismic shift in life like after 9/11 and stuff like that. Those are some of my like earliest formative years when I was learning to like read and write and count and stuff. And so I guess it's very strangely like political unrest like that, hairiness has almost been like a part of life for me for most of my days. I mean, I'm sure it is like, I mean, people were, you know, kids when Kennedy got assassinated. You know, it's like a part of it. And so it's hard for me to try to find like a happy medium with being able to engage with that kind of stuff intelligently, but also try to focus on my own, like my own path and the things that I'm trying to accomplish personally, because I just don't feel like I am where I want to be at in my life, and I can't afford, like, I hate to say calling it distractions. I know it's relevant, but to what I'm trying to do, it does kind of amount to distractions for me. In regards to the theme of melting and letting it go and things like that, I mean, I just so happen to have been called to do that this past couple weeks, so kind of happened to be in a similar wavelength of trying to exercise that, and I'm definitely not good at that at all. Definitely have not really gotten to the point where I would like to be with that. I had moments, I had good moments with it, and in those moments where I felt that I had successfully exercised letting go, I found greater things than what I was trying to hold on to, which I guess is the point of letting go in that sense of like, you know, I think about like water, you know, you try to clutch water, you can't like catch the water, but then you go like this and then the water will stay in your hand type thing. That happened to me a few times these past couple of weeks, and leaning into that quote unquote faith and into that sense of certainty that comes from the detachment and letting go of like the guilt and shame of being joyful and detached and stuff. I feel like sometimes people don't feel like they're doing enough unless they're like stressed about it. At least that's like me.
Yes, may I interact with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Consider that you're not separate and apart from anything. Just to consider that you are not separate and apart from anything.
Yeah, that's really scary.
Just to consider that for a moment. Not being separate and apart from anything. And that, considering that, then whatever is taking place, I'm an aspect of whatever is taking place anywhere, I'm a part of that, if I'm not separate and apart from anything. And whatever is occurring anywhere, I'm a part of that. We used to talk about the omnipresence. So in consciousness now, as an entity, yeah, you occur in a localized space. But as a non-entity, as just pure energy, pure light, pure presence, pure spirit, pure waves and frequencies and vibrations, everywhere, inseparable. And that depending on the state of our thought activity to which our brain responds. So perhaps our thought activity to which our brain responds is where perceptions and beliefs come from. But perhaps our perceptions and our beliefs have little to do with anything, since everything's a part of everything, like one of those kind of larger conversations. So if you were to consider that I'm a part of everything, everywhere, and whatever is taking place within the awareness that I am tuned into. Like when we tune into dropping down, being still, letting go. Wow, I know most people said, oh, I felt relaxed, I felt calm, I felt peaceful. I felt a sense of I'm going to use the word grounding. And so we're going to go more into about the brain activity a little bit later, because it's very important to understand what's taking place and where is it taking place. There's what seems to be taking place, but where is whatever is taking place, where is it really taking place? That's an interesting conversation to talk about. Where is anything really taking place? I know what it looks like. Okay, but perhaps there's more to anything than what it looks like. Perhaps what it looks like is shaped by our own seeing. Perhaps. So this is just an open conversation. It's just like looking at something in different ways, that's all. So I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, same.
And I appreciate your sharing.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely learned a lot from what you just said, and I'm excited to learn some more. So, yeah.
I'm learning too. I'm everybody's student, including yours.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, well, pressure's on. But,
Okay. Ashe.
Shay.
Okay, yeah, just hold on to it. When someone's ready, they'll ask for it. Okay. You ready for it, Linda? Not yet. Okay, just hold on to it. When there's someone is ready to. So from our Zoom, Veronica, Vanessa, and Jean and Dee Walker.
You know, when I'm listening to you, I'm thinking of something that Dr. Clara taught me many years ago. I'm always calling out my own name. And so when I was watching the events in this, I will call it the world of illusion, even though sometimes it does not feel exactly like that. But I kept thinking of that. I'm always calling out my own name. And so with more of a sense of wonder and curiosity, like, oh, I'm having this reaction or that reaction. And I kept thinking of that Ho'oponopono prayer, those of you that know that, where everything is happening to show me it could be a small aspect of my own mind that's coming up for healing and release. And the thing I love about that prayer is you just say the prayer, I'm sorry, forgive me, I love you, and thank you. So I'm forgiving myself for forgetting really my divine essence, that I am one and a part of everything. And I found that it helped keep me steady because there were so many things to react to this week. And it was like a centering experience. And I found the meditation, the opening meditation this evening, along those lines of just centering into that place where I am being held. I don't need to do it. I don't need to even try to let these mean-spirited thoughts that are coming up in my mind go. I just surrender, and then the grace of God does the rest. But boy, has it been quite a workout this week, but helpful, I would say. Yeah, helpful to keep going back to that still center point and just letting go and surrendering. Last week you ended with just notice where you're holding on. And I noticed where I was holding on a lot this week to thoughts and experiences and fear. Fear kept coming up a lot. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen now? And I thought, well, like you were just saying, Dr. Clark, well, who is saying that? Who's fearful? Only my ego mind. Because if I can drop for sometimes just a moment into that place of stillness, sometimes I just pet the dog or stand next to a tree, but or say that Ho'oponopono prayer, or sometimes I just say help. Oh, I just surrender. So Ashe.
Ashe.
First of all, am I blasting you guys? Is it too loud?
Perfect.
You can hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So, what I noticed was there was a lot of activity, just in general and a lot of activity in my mind. And so what I did, at some point, I could tell I was frustrated with all of my thoughts and questioning, you know, why am I having all these thoughts? And they were like back to back and around a bunch of different things. But one of the things that happened from that was to really notice what I was doing, and that was separation. Somehow I had the humanness and the spiritual separate. And then it came to me, it's like, wait a minute, I'm here to be human. And I know I am a spiritual being. So I'm here to experience what it is to be human. And all of these thoughts that I'm having is a part of that. So I don't have to fight against it or affirm it away or any of that. So what I did was start to notice what my thoughts were. And that brought a sense of allowing, and then I was able to just surrender, let it go. And so what, I'm having these thoughts. But I was being judgmental of myself having the thoughts. And that, to me, was the thing that was holding me stuck. And so, anyway, I noticed that. And just from what everybody is saying, I had a little piece of all of that. So this is helping me um, to further notice where I am in this moment. And that is really, I think at the beginning, Clary, you talked about being open. And I'm like, yeah, that's the best way to be. And to have fun with this. I mean, we didn't come here to be all, obstructed and critical of ourselves and judgmental of ourselves, but to experience. So that's what's continuing to come up for me, looking back at the week and where I am today. I hope that makes sense.
It does.
Um,
It does.
and I'm complete.
Ashe. Thank you. Miss D?
For me, this week is, since I've been on this call, it's been like a roller coaster. But one of the questions that I've been asking myself is, what's it take to get me out of the way just to be? What does it take to get me out of the way to exist in harmony with myself as well as others? What am I bringing to the table? And today, I started what I call my own mantra. Like wherever I went, my mantra was, I'm walking in peace. And I noticed that when I said I was walking in peace, some of the obstacles that were in the way were no longer there. It's like, if I'm walking in peace, my intention is that everybody is served. Like everybody, it's like I'm here to serve and here to be served. It's like a two-way street. And it allows me to get my thoughts out of the way, to be present to what's going on in the moment for me, instead of the conversations that I have about what I like and I don't like and what's wrong with who and why, what's wrong. It seems to be centering me. I don't know how to explain it any other way.
No, it's very clear. Shay? So you can see then how by changing our thoughts, we can shift our brain frequency. We can remap our own brain frequency. You got wait, like I changed my mind. I said, I recognize it's all what I am. Every single thought, the pros and cons, it's not outside interpreting apart from what I am. It's all what I am in the field of consciousness. So when I notice, like, oh, I'm not having this thought. I'm aware of this thought. This thought is in the awareness, in my awareness. It may not be your thought. It's a thought in the field of awareness. Now, when you go into the thought, it becomes your thought. It becomes your thought. But there are infinite thoughts. There are infinite thoughts. We call it race consciousness or collective consciousness, okay? So every thought is there. At some point, it's in your awareness. So now some thoughts you don't even notice. Other thoughts you do notice. Some thoughts get your attention, other thoughts don't get your attention. The one that gets your attention, you say, I think, creating that. You're now in creation, you're now in a creation mode. But you're shifting your brain, and we're shifting the pattern of your brain frequency. And the brain gathers the frequency of your thoughts as though they're actual, as though they're real. So now there's a REAL, and then there's a REEL. So on the real REEL of your brain, you're creating a real experience to experience. That's what it is to be human. That's what it is to God in us, through us, as us. That's what that's talking about. So maybe, like I said, maybe you want to go over these so we can have a little expansion.
Sure. And what all this is making me think about is, if you've heard the legend, right, King Midas, right? Or another one was the movie Edward Scissorhands. So with King Midas, he got granted the wish that everything he touched turned to gold. And it was great at first, until it wasn't. And he even turned his family into gold. Or if you saw the movie Edward Scissorhands, his hands were scissors, and so, he loved people, but every time he tried to touch them. So I'm seeing that with the power that we have. It's almost easier to recognize, whoever, Trump's over there or the other races over there or whatever, and I'm over here and they're over there. Not recognizing that whatever we touch consciously, we are impacting it according to ourselves. We're changing it, we're impacting it, or really we're changing our own perception of it in a sense. So then that's a question or an inquiry. Are we changing something? They say that by observing something, you change what you're observing, right? So, but then in the oneness, if you're changing the thing, you're changing yourself as well.
And the thing is, you changing the thing may be an illusion. You're changing where you are in the field of brain activity. This is all virtual, because whatever is occurring here is not actual, but it's coming from the real, like those old movies. The real. You're streaming. Your consciousness is streaming, and you're not owning it, because it looks like not me, because I have that one bad, not me. But actually, what if what you are is the space in which all things occur, and where you are in the mind of your mind, your brain reads as something taking place, and so it does.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And so it does. So whatever, so that says then what you are the space. You are the realm where whatever is taking place is taking place. What if there's nothing outside? What if there's no outside of what you are?
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah, I agree. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. But then you said, so the entire omniscience mind of God, quote unquote, is in us as us. Certain thoughts gravitate to what are they gravitating? Certain thoughts, and so certain thoughts you said you can hold on to them and become them. Certain thoughts we can watch them pass by. The thoughts that even pass by are closer to our orbit, closer to our core, because what else could we perceive except what our core is, what our self is?
I hear you saying, so therefore, we tune into particular frequencies as thoughts.
We tune into ourselves.
Yeah, we tune into a particular frequency, and that's what, you know, we are a system of intelligence, right? We are a system of everything. We are a system. We put self-directive intelligence in this teaching. We are a system. So whatever thought, boom, if you tune into that, if you own it, if you feel that, like if I like you, I feel one thing. If I don't like you, I feel another thing. So you can see it's according to where I tune into, according to what I have going on. Because my brain reads that, and then I feel it consciously and I feel it subconsciously. We talked about that last week. So what if it's all within what you are, and there's nothing outside of what you are? What if everything is within what you are, and there's nothing outside of what you are? But what if we have identified too small? We've got, oh well, I'm going to go to God. I'm going to go. But what if it's all what you are in consciousness? But your beliefs disrupt. Like there's nothing out. Love is all there is, and there are barriers to that, obstructions to that. But there's no obstruction in what we're calling love, but how you feel about what you're calling love. You know, how you feel about what you're calling yourself. So what if we are, there's a book Ernest Holmes wrote, The Thing Itself. What if we are the allness? What if we are this? And no one has, we've been socialized away from that. We've been taught to think, oh, in terms of form and structures and ideas. But what if that's limiting? So if you look at the different states of,
Just had a comment real quick, and then
you wanted to come,
I can wait.
no, please.
Okay. Well, I had like a couple of different breakthroughs, and I really enjoyed what was being said. So I wanted to like kind of speak my own interpretation on it to see if I was kind of tracking everything correctly, or at least in the way that y'all had intended. And so I found like a confluence between what you guys were saying, both sort of leaning into, you know, I guess when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change type thing. And the allegory with the hands spoke to me, as well as the frequency influencing the actual being of wherever that you are, because you are part of the oneness. That spoke to me too. And I think both of the things, what it said to me was like, basically the more that I beg and plead and kind of like pray and get exasperated over wanting to have a certain gift or wanting to be able to like cause a certain thing in my life, the less I allow the naturalness of frequency to just simply take form. And I keep trying to like, reach, for example, maybe reach gamma because I want to be the smartest person in the room or something like that.
But what if wanting is negative? Because wanting to want something is an affirmation that I don't have. There's some things that I
Yeah.
don't have.
And that's what I'm getting at. I'm getting at, yeah, I'm getting at in terms of like the wantness is sometimes counterproductive, because the thing that I might think that I'm begging for could be, in a sense, like a poison in my hand, and I could be causing something because I'm not allowing the frequency in the natural to simply occur, and I'm judging it. Like, suppose it just does manifest as alpha. Oh, but I want to be gamma because I want to be the smartest person in the room, or something like that. Like, I could simply just be in a space of allowance, and in that sense, what I am can be just simply become what is like around me, and what is, you know, the existence that occurs because I'm just simply in a space of detachment, or in like, you know, in like in a joyful rest in that sense. Well, a couple of things that had occurred to me that made this all make sense was, like, I had a friend of mine who we were talking about like the early vibration of the universe. And we talked about how the early universe supposedly vibrated at a pitch of B flat, like 50 octaves below middle C, like a really, really low note. And the frequency of that is like negative, or like 0.0000 something, like really, really low. And she said to me, like, well, think of somebody like that, you know, that might be living in that frequency, and what they may think of like a gamma wave or something like that. That in relatively is actually kind of like really high pitched, and actually kind of a little annoying. Like, you know, here we are thinking that we want to be up there, and we kind of want to be on the high frequency tip. We could just be really like annoying the seas, though, actually, as a result of that. And so because and because of those my kind of like processing that understanding, I translate into that, well, like, well, when I walk into a room, sometimes I don't have to be like super extra, because it could just simply like annoying the seas. Like, if I come in as myself, or if I come in as my truth, like, I could maybe be causing a certain influence on the room, or influence on my existence, because I'm simply just being and allowing the propagation of, say, frequency to you know, manifest a being that could be in the highest good, beyond gold and beyond scissors and beyond this or that and the third thing. So that was my like interpretation of what y'all said, and I was trying to see if I'm in the same room as y'all about it. But I appreciated it, and I kind of, yeah, I guess we're comparing notes.
Yeah, so you simply allow yourself to be. You simply allowing yourself to be. That's it.
Which you know, which I'm, yeah.
Yeah, just allowing yourself to be.
For some reason, it's something that I just like. I'm like something blocks me from doing that.
From allowing yourself to be?
That's right.
Oh, that's good to notice that. Just to notice that and don't mess with it. Noticing it is sufficient. That's everything, because it's in your awareness. Yes. Just notice that. There's nothing to do about that except to notice it. When you notice it, that's sufficient. When you begin to effort and struggle, that's a distraction. So when you are simply noticing what's there, there's also what's not there. There's what's there, and there's what's not there. When you mess with it, you miss what's not there. So you simply notice it. That's how you highlighted it. That's a highlight. Like on your screen, your computer, you highlight something. It's vulnerable. It is invulnerable. When you begin to edit, you are engaging it. So you're engaging your discomfort. Simply being with that. It's not an entity. It's not something. It's just energy. Just frequency. That's it. And what's not there is greater than what you notice. What's not there is greater. Because what's there, you then have a little story around it. You have a point of view about it. You have an idea, you have a belief about it. So you're bringing something to it, so you're magnifying it. When you just notice it, there's no lifeline. There's no tentacles. And you'll notice pretty soon, like, it's almost not there. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. But I wanted to speak to those brain waves. So with anything with the human being that we know of, now the entirety of the human being is, by definition of quantum physics, science of mind, the entirety of me is the entirety of the universe and universes. Yet there is this perception of this separate being. Like last week we were talking about there's mind and there's brain. Mind being that totality of consciousness, wisdom, knowledge. Brain being this, piece of flesh, right, that we have. So all of the brain, and so we see that, the mind and the brain. And we could go back to the other one, Dr. Clara, the brain waves. So with anything with the human brain, for example, you know that we can only see, or for the most part, humans can only see within a very small band of the electromagnetic spectrum, right? From red light to violet, which is a very thin band. Radio waves, we can't see them. Microwaves, we can't see them, right? X-rays, we can't see them. They're seeable somewhere in this entire mind of, isness, of allness, but the human slice, the human continuum of what's seen, or you didn't say this, but sounds, it's the same thing. We can't hear a dog whistle. We can't hear certain things. They're there. They're happening all around us. There are, who knows even what else is in this room right now that is not in the human perceptual range. So similar for the brain waves. A human brain vibrates, tends to, as this is pointing out, between just over 1 hertz, which is a cycle per second, up to about 100 hertz. This is the range that science understands that we're capable of. Now, what I find interesting about this is at the low range and at the high range, we are, I'll just put it simply to say, essentially closer to God at both ends of the spectrum. So if we start with the bottom here, delta between 0.5 hertz and 4 hertz, very, very low frequency. That is, well, I got sleep there, or even, theta, which is, 4 to 8 hertz. That's lower. So I'm actually talking about theta right now. 4 to 8 hertz. This is when it's full creativity. This is when you can lay there and heal and make a tumor go away in 40 minutes because you're just laying there and you're one with everything. So once you're one with everything, your Midas touch is activated. And be careful with that power. We all have that power within the range of what the brain is capable of. Now, so that's theta. If you go any lower than that, you're asleep, basically. Right, if you go lower than that, your brain ain't braining at that point. So, 4 to 8 hertz, that's full creativity. That is when they say drop down. You can drop down, think about someone, and you got to be in that still space. You drop down, think about the person, and the phone rings, and it's them. You drop down, and it's basically just a full creativity. So vibrate up a little bit higher, then we have the alpha brain waves, 8 through 13 hertz. The mind and body is relaxed. Now, your mind and body could be relaxed. That's not the same as really being in that full creative zone. And it's not the same as being asleep. You just kind of maybe you're just laying on the couch watching TV, or TV's watching you. That's an alpha brain wave. Go a little bit higher to beta, 13 through 32 hertz. That's what we just call normal walking around everyday consciousness. Look both ways before you cross the street. You're aware of what's happening. But that awareness of, oh, well, maybe I'll cook this for dinner, or maybe I'll cross the street, or the phone rings, maybe I do, maybe I don't feel like talking to this person. Just regular walking around awareness. You will find that's good, that's important for this place where we are, or where we find ourselves, where we perceive ourselves to be. But usually when we're in that humdrum, we're also very reactionary. When I'm just in a regular, see now when I'm dropped all the way down into theta and someone says, oh my God, they shot Trump. You know, if I'm in theta, I can just kind of, you know, take a deep breath and say, oh really, did they? You're saying they shot Trump. But then if I'm in beta, normal everyday consciousness, I'm reacting to what happens.
Which means that you are shaping what's happening.
Well, hold on, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Almost.
Okay.
Except it is all on a continuum. You're getting there. Now that's gamma. Let me go a little higher. Because I said if you go higher, all the way up or all the way down, you are in that field of oneness and awareness. Yes, as we get higher, beta is just regular. Now, from just regular, this happens, and I don't like this, I like that. Why did that have to happen? I'm bored. What am I going to do? All of this. Oh, Lord, what are we going to do? All that is beta. If I can go a little bit higher, yes, I'm aware. Yes, I'm perceiving what's happening, but I am in a creative space. I am recognizing how I am the one doing it. The most common, or a very common example of this that I'm aware of, is when athletes can get in the zone. It can happen to all of us, but an athlete can just get in the zone where they can't miss. They can anticipate what another person is about to do. They can actually see, they will say, about a second and a half into the future and be able to have a control over it. So with here is saying, yes, heightened perception, learning, and problem solving. So there are days where some days it's just kind of regular walking around. And then some days it's whatever problem they throw at you, whatever question they throw at you, you got it. You're in the zone. You can't miss. That's the highest frequency. The lowest frequency is I'm so still that I cannot be touched. The highest is I'm so high frequency that I can't be touched. And everything in the middle is what we call this ups and downs of so-called reality.
And the thing too, also in this aware state, which one was that? It's aware state. It's like, for example, eyewitness testimony is considered to be the most unreliable, because what is seen is shaped by where you are in the mind of your mind. So you can get 10 people to give an account of a single incident, and you'll get 10 different accounts. So in the seeing, creation is in the seeing. I know we have stories. Hey, Jean, remember this time when we had this at my house, we had this gathering, and so I said something, I wasn't big on reruns, and everyone there had a different experience of what I said. And when they all shared, they saw that they all had a different experience of what I said. And we laughed. It was so funny. And I'm going, wow. So you have to know that what is seen perhaps is altered in your seeing. So if eyewitness testimony is the most unreliable, it says then what is seen is in the seeing. So when we're seeing Trump, when we're seeing whatever we're seeing, perhaps where we are seeing from is what is seen. And we put someone's name on it. We put a story around it. But what if whatever you're seeing, you're going to feel, you're going to believe, it's going to imprint on the subconscious consciousness, you're going to have feelings around it, but what if that's how powerful we are? Now, if this is really true, if this is really true, then do I have dominion? What is my dominion here? What and where is my dominion here? Google this. This is on YouTube.
It's on the screen now. That's it on the screen too.
Google this. And also Google Map of Consciousness by David Hawkins to really get a great picture of this, because each one of these correspond to a state of consciousness, whether it's fear or anxiety or love or peace. It all corresponds to a state of consciousness.
What I hope you can hear me. What I'm getting out of all of this, and I've often thought of this, I think when I reach the awareness, the consciousness that I'm not in competition with anyone, and I can focus more on my own genius. That's what I'm thinking. That like I said, I don't want to say that's how everyone else is thinking, but I'm thinking that I have to know that I'm not here to I'm in competition with someone. And so that takes me away from focusing on my own genius. That's what I'm.
Yeah, that you are that there's not you and then everyone else. There's not you and then someone with whom to compete. There's not you and, the word and is a tricky word because it tends to indicate separation. There is what I am, and then there's what you are, and etc. But what if I am? What if, I love this, I know who you are. I am creating you, and I celebrate our relationship. What if I come from, I know who you are. I am creating you. I celebrate our relationship. Then that's not other than myself, with which I have to compete to have a better understanding or to prove anything about myself. What if I'm all of it, the genius and the non-genius, so to speak? What if I'm all of it at the same time in diverse occurring expressions? That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm seeing that that's what we are. So just as this measures it between basically 0 and 100, another way of looking at that is what in science they understand as just that binary of it. It's either a 0 or a 1, and everything in between 0 and 1. 0 is that theta wave of you can't miss because there's no shot to be taken. There is no here or there. I am there, so I can't, there is no miss. 1 is I'm so locked in that I can't miss. So basically both of those, the 0 and the 1, are expressions of God. Everything in between 0 and 1 is all of the potential feelings that a brain can have, whether it's the emotions or whether it's sleeping or waking or worrying or theta or gamma or delta or all of them between the 1 and the 0. But that's what is possible for us. And so we have this experience as people, and we all, I think in a lifetime, I think we pretty much all experience everything that a person can experience. You know, you've been up, you've been down, you know, you've had some great serendipity, you've had where you felt you couldn't catch a break. You know, we all experience it all, and that's the beauty of experience. And we do have choice, we do have dominion of where we want to, you know, vibrate at. And so you might say, like you said, well, I want to be gamma, right? You're all of it. It's just which one do you choose? See, there's a difference between saying, I really want to be happy, but that's one thought, but it's also possible to just start being happy. So there is no, or it doesn't have to be necessary, there can be, but an aspiration toward anything or an acknowledgement that I'm not somewhere, but I really wish I could get there. That, like you said, you just stay there. You stay in a place of wishing you could get there versus we have the capacity to, if I said, you know, if I said, I'm not going to say it, but if I said, everyone, just think of something you really resent and just think about it and just let your heart and mind get filled with resentment, we could do it. Or if I said gratitude, find something you're grateful for, think about it, be grateful, let your soul bask with the gratitude. Either way, you're able to do that, and you will attract other thoughts of like kind to continue to define yourself and reality according to wherever you have chosen to be.
And something Dr. Seth said, so noticing where you are and where you'd like to be. What's in between where you are and where you'd like to be? What's in between where you are and where you'd like to be? Let's consider where you are is at 0, and where you'd like to be is 1, whole and complete. So what's this? What's in between? What's there? That's what there is to notice, and that's what there is to allow. Just to notice it and not mess with it. To notice it and not edit it. To notice it and not script write. You're simply noticing where you are. So if you'd like to be someplace, it means you're at a minus. Here's where I am, but it's not where I'd like to be. I like to be over here. So between 0 and 1, there's infinite potential. But when you've got stuff in there, when you have barriers in there, when you have feelings in there, you have emotions in there, you have beliefs in there, you have stuff going on. So we begin to have nothing going on. That was this we have nothing going on about anything. Then there's nothing in between where you are and where you like to be. So it's like the something and nothing factor. There's something and nothing factor. 0 isn't nothing. 0 is potential. I always say, ask for some more zeros to the left of the decimal point. You'll see how fertile 0 is. Okay, so between the unfulfillment, which is this is not where I'd like to be, that's the unfulfillment state. And fulfillment looks like, oh, that grass greener over here, here's where I'd like to be. But what's in between that's stopping you? What's blocking? Because nothing's stopping you, but something's blocking you. What's blocking you? What ideas about yourself? Because the ideas may seem as though they're about someone else. There is no one else. So what ideas about what you are, where you are, that's blocking you and everything? Because what you are this is a fertile field of everything potentially, of everything. And so I remember when Eric and I took a class some years ago, when computers first came out. And I go, I like to understand how to program computers. And I had no idea how to even begin to think about that. So we took this class together over at the college, Eric and I. And so I'm thinking, I don't know what this man is talking about. And some people, they were getting it. I wasn't getting it. So someone said, well, just make stuff up. I go, how does A equal X, Y, Z, and B, C, T? so I said, just make it up. Just make it up. So yeah, so I did. And I got a B or an A on the test. So I then thought I understood. I go, oh, I get it now. So I was explaining to other students who didn't get it. I'm going, no, here's what it is. Because I thought I understood. So on the way to the car, Eric said, baby, you know I love you, but you were going for the touchdown without the football. See, wait, so see, here's the thing is, there was a thought in between me. There was a thought, because I thought. So now I ask myself, what do I know about what I'm thinking? What do I know about what I know? What do I know about this thought? And I decided to stay at 0, because that's fertile potential. Go ahead, Jess. Is it you, Betty Ann? Okay.
Actually, that's all right. I was learning so much from what everybody was saying. I'd love to hear from you first.
Hi. What you're saying, Clara, reminded me of being in the gap. Hello? Hello? They can hear me now? Okay. What you're saying was reminding me of being in the gap, and that there's a gap between the inhale and the exhale. There's also a gap between our heartbeats, and that's where there's so much potential. So I was practicing that this week, and what came up for me constantly and consistently was spiritual bypassing. So I was listening to the conversation last week, and I'm thinking, well, if I'm not there, then where am I and why am I here? And also, when I come into a community like this, I don't know what to do with spiritual bypass, because I do believe it's a concept. And am I projecting that onto someone else? And if I'm saying that I'm not all that in the bag of chips of spiritually, then what do I do with the gap? What do I do with the spiritual bypass? And I don't want to be guilted or have spiritual shame. And if that happens, am I projecting that onto someone else, or am I accepting that for myself? So when I was asking to be taught more about what happened last week, it kept coming up: spiritual bypass, spiritual bypass.
And what do you call it, a spiritual bypass? When
Okay,
you
so
say spiritual bypass, what is it?
Okay, I printed this up. It's not everything. I did it really quickly this morning. Spiritual bypassing describes the tendency to use spiritual explanations to avoid complex psychological issues. So I know that I'm also a mental, spiritual, and psychological being. And if I'm saying that I don't fully align with what you're talking about right now, am I doing spiritual bypass? And what do I do if somebody tries to guilt me spiritually?
That's a point of view you're in, and it's important to allow it. That's a point of view that you're in, and it's important to allow your point of view. It's valid. It's your point of view.
I don't want to dismiss it. Yeah, I don't want to dismiss it.
Yeah. So you allow your point of view, and without judging it, you simply allowing it. Because if it's there, it's there. My point of view is, I don't see it this way. That's a valid point of view. Or I agree, that's valid. I do agree, I don't, that's all valid. It's not this versus that. There's no this versus that. There's no either or. That's just what we bring to where we are in the mind of our mind. We bring a value judgment to it. We bring an either or to it. We bring a this versus that to it. There's no this versus that. It's all of it.
So I'm trusting that if it came up in my awareness,
yes,
that it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what to do with it as I continue to participate in this dialogue. Just let it be.
Allow it without judging it. Mm-hmm. Allow it without giving it meaning. The minute you give it meaning, that's where division and separation comes in. Mm-hmm. So this is my point of view. This is where I am with myself. That's called discernment. So if you're not into to deny that would be bypass. That would be a bypass. If you bypass how it is for you, that's the only bypass. This is how it is for me. No, that's not a bypass. That's inclusive. That's inclusion. And that comes back to oneness. Because in the infinite, everything is within the infinite. There's no outside. The mind of God, and we mentioned this last week, the field of awareness. There's a field called awareness where there's nothing going on, but everything potentially exists in this field. Every thought, every idea exists in the field of awareness. It's vast, it's infinite. So what if in the field of awareness, that's simply a thought in the infinity of what we call the mind of God, in the infinity of awareness. Like when I was, I've had some experiences, and when I tended to go, let me see, where is my attention? Because where my attention goes in awareness, there I'm localizing. So notice, where am I in the field of awareness? Where am I in the mind of infinite mind? Where am I in the mind of infinite mind in this moment. I'm going to notice that. And I'm not going to have it be something or not be something. I'm just going to notice it. There's no bypassing. You can't get around where you are in consciousness. You can't get around you can't get around where you are. But you can just being with where you are with nothing going on. With nothing going on. The minute you have something going on, you're then creating something that you're either creating something that you're dancing with. You're creating something looking not to be in reaction with that. You're creating something looking not to be at issue with yourself, not to be at the effect with yourself, not to be at issue with another. You just like being with it.
So am I always creating in my awareness, or am I always creating or just allowing?
You're always in creation. To think is to be in creation. Even to judge, even to accept, even to give meaning to something, even to just let it go. Because you're always in some experience, whether it's like relaxed and mellow, you're in some experience. You know, different states of experiences according to where you are, what's happening with your brain wave, always. So there's no way out. And we're in this realm, in this form. This form allows for the experience of experience. It allows for the experience of experience. So that's why there has to be movement in mind called waves. There has to be movement in music. There has to be movement in everything. Movement. And as you mentioned, you mentioned that about in between the breath, there is this space. But everything is a matter of space. Because everything is mostly space. But space is very fertile.
I see your face though, and allowing something. So I feel fear, anger, guilt, resentment, and I allow it instead of bypassing it. I hear you asking, am I creating more fear, right, by allowing the fear? Not necessarily. By allowing it, what you're doing is dropping down closer to zero, letting what is be. And when you let what is be, a lot of times we find that what we thought was really isn't anything. It vanishes.
Nothing as actually there is nothing, but we experience nothing as something according to our thought frequency. Because it looks like that's something. But what is it that makes something something? What makes something something? What makes zero something? What makes zero fertile? Or what makes one expansive? One in the realm of numbers, there has to be the background to one is called numbers as a distinction. If there's no distinction numbers, then there is no one. There's just zero, there's just nothing. So if we get to give rise to anything, there has to be something in the background, like a distinction, for there to be one. But one, though, is expansive, not linear. That's how you can say the infinite, or God is all there is, or Omni, because the one expands, and as we expand in consciousness through all these various frequencies, and we go, they say, when you breathe in your world, take a deep breath, breathe. If you're giving birth, breathe. All that. So it's all a matter of where you tune in to whatever it is that's there or not. So where am I with? I don't agree with this. Where am I with? I don't know about where am I with that? Because when I am with it is my experience. Wherever you are with whatever you're talking about, that's your experience. So it looks like my experience is in about you, but no, it's when I am with myself, with you, that's my experience. So I can't be at the effect of you, because it's where I am with myself, associated with you, that's my experience. And we tend to not own that we are source of it all, we are cause of it all, we generate it all, we activate it all. We tend not to, and that's so powerful. But we haven't really quite gotten how powerful we are just naturally, without any doing, without any efforting. It's amazing what we are.
Okay. For one thing, I'm really glad I got to hear what you were saying, especially in terms of the spiritual bypass. I resonated with what you had said a lot. I think what I got from that was like you wanting to like think and reason and gain and like a intellectual understanding of the information, and not wanting to just say, oh, spirits got it, and it's no, this is like, you know, the Dead Sea Scrolls of information. And so I resonated with that too. And it's probably because I had trouble reconciling the analogy that's being presented right here. Because what you had said was talking about the delta and the gamma being two ideal states. And then what you had said was talking about the 0 being a lack state and the 1 being like a fulfilled and sufficient state. And I was looking at it like, how can I listen to sort of like establish a sense of grounding and sensibility between the two things that are being said? And so I just started like trying to allow allow it to come to me. And I was looking, and one thing that clicked for me, and maybe you might resonate with this or something like that, is I wonder if the 0 and the 1, for each 0 and 1, of which there can be an ideal state, there can also be like an anti-state in a sense, because in a sense you could call a 0 not you can call it a lack, but you could also call it like a state of peace, of not needing, because you're kind of like at base and you're like in that complete detachment, i.e. what you were kind of talking about. And then you could also be in the sort of restless lack, like what you were talking about. But then at the 1, yes, you could be at the you could be at that total in the zone, like you got this and it's in there. But you could also, that 1 could also be, dang, you reached Shangri-La and there's trouble in paradise, or dang, you've reached that like super highest frequency, but you've actually kind of like tapped into it a little too hard, like you're actually kind of going a bit haywire and it's all over the place. And so it kind of causes me to like look at this model a different way in terms of like the in-between part, how my experience the in-between part can be. Because if the 0 and the 1 could both represent something that is fulfilling and something that might not be in alignment with the highest good that your being could be in that particular moment, that means that in-between could represent either things that are blocking you from 0 to 1, or like gas stations, or like little watering holes or something like that. Like sometimes they could be different experiences based on, like you're saying, based on what you decide that it is. And so then it makes me turn around again to your like, well, am I creating or am I like allowing? And I think that's where kind of like the economy comes in, chase versus attract, create and do versus facilitate and allow. And one of the things I had just heard you say, it's about kind of like, well, where are you at with it, and what do you accept about it, and can you accept where it is? Can you observe it and understand that from whatever vibration you observe it at, it changes the character of what that is and the representation of what that is.
And how do you see the difference between allowing something and creating something? How do you see the difference between that? Do you see a difference between what I allow? Because what I'm allowing, what is the source of what I'm allowing? Distinct from what I'm creating. Is there a different source that allowing speaks to than creating, or are they the same?
So for me, where I find is total and complete confusion with that. I haven't got the slightest form of an answer. That is the thing that keeps me up at night and the thing that keeps me having panic attacks all the time. So
Okay.
as
got
far
it.
as so the answer that's what I would like to know. Honestly, that's when I heard you talking. That was immediately I was
So
like, hey,
are
yo.
you saying then, depending, you can be at the effect or at issue if you can't sleep at night, if you're in anxiety, I'm going to use that word for a moment, but if you're like in a state of not rest, okay, are you saying that somewhere you're creating being at the effect of something that's not your highest good, the term you use, versus your highest good? Because I can hear a count of two, I can hear division and all of that. I can hear in between. So in between something and nothing, in between nothing and something. The nothing is you're resting, nothing's going on. Otherwise, there's something going on. So there's nothing going on and something going on. So there's the something and nothing factor. So if the something is nothing factor, it seems like me that's a point to notice. Oh, I have a nothing going on factor and a something going on factor. Now I know because I can't sleep at night sometime. And
I
there are
think-
times when I do. You sleep at some point.
Well,
So,
I think one thing I will say is that like I definitely sleep. My actual problem is I sleep too much. That's what I will say. I think I have like hypersomnia. So I think that the whole thing keep me up at night. That was a bit of an idiom. My actual lived experience is that the moment that life gets too overwhelming, I'm asleep. Period. You know, that sort of thing. I'm sort of like checked out.
When life gets too overwhelming, is what you said?
That's right. The second I start to feel more overstimulated, I'm going
You
to bed.
check out and go to sleep.
Oh yeah.
So you
I'm outta
avoid.
there. Oh yes. Running
Okay,
for the
so,
hills.
So
baby.
right there. So what are you avoiding? What
Um,
is it you're? No, we're not going to have that comment because it's 7:25.
Oh.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that it's something to notice. Whatever is there, you say, I'm avoiding. It's gets to be too much. I can't deal with. I don't want to. I'm checking out. I'm going to sleep. What is you avoiding? Where is that coming from? Where is that coming from? You have to check in and take a notice because you know. I mean, you know all of this. It's nothing that's unknown to you or anybody. We're all knowing. So in the all knowing, where is that avoidance coming from? Something has me avoiding. You've got to be with that. That's what there is to be with. What is it that has me in avoidance with myself?
I wanted to shout
But-
out Jean because she had said something that resonated with when you were talking about judgment. She was saying that she was judging some of her thoughts and feelings all week, and that was I don't want to go too deep into it or anything, but I think that's really where it is for me in terms of like create versus allow. I think the issue for me is judgment. I judging myself a little too much.
Anyway, that's a further conversation. Okay, but at least you're aware. You go, oh, I tend to overthink. I tend to overthink. Yeah,
Help, I'm seen.
I tend to overthink. I go, oh, so that's what's in between where I am and where I'd like to be. So just keep taking a little look and not having be about something or not be about something. That's the snag. You're having to be about something because I'd rather this not be. So let go of that. Because otherwise you will be bypassing where you are. And it's okay to be where you are. There's not something wrong with that. It's just where you are, it's where you are. Like who we are and who we are not, that's who we are. Who you are, who I am, and who I'm not, that's who I am. Who you are and who you're not, that's who you are. And that's what there is to just be with. You don't have to say I'm allowing, I'm like accepting. You know, I'm noticing that.
Yeah, and I heard you say that you heard us say that like 1 is ideal and 0 is a lack state. I don't know if that's what we're saying. Yeah, they're not, 1 is not better than the other. I would think of it closer to 1 is an inhale, 1 is an exhale. You cannot create, just like you can't exhale until you've inhaled, you can't create until you've allowed. You got to, and so somewhere between totally allow and totally create the moment is a breath So when I'm in the process of exhaling, what would be the point of while I'm, 20, 30, 40% of the way through my exhale to be like, oh man, if I don't inhale, I'm gonna die. I need some oxygen. Like I'm just in the process of it. Well, how long does it take? Well, what is time? So then that's a further conversation. But it's not that one is better or one is optimal. The whole thing, and we go from those times when we can't miss and it's just there, or I knew this was about to happen and it happened, or whatever. God said, let there be light, and there was light. As soon as you said it happened, to, well, whatever's happening, I'm just letting it wash over me and allow, and everything in between. So wherever you are in that in between, if you decide that that's reality and you're going to grab onto that thought and stay there, then you're going to stay there, and that will prevent that natural flow from one fullness to the other. But that's yourself.
Yeah. And without that space in between the in-breath and the out-breath, without that space in between the in-breath and the out-breath, there is no breath. The play of consciousness. Without something and nothing. Without the in-breath and the out-breath, but how about the space in between the breath? Without that space in between the in-breath and the out-breath, there is no breath. So how about hanging out in that space in between the in-breath and the out-breath for the next week? Hang out in that space of power. How you know it's power? Because without it, there is no breath. So just being the space that's in between. Give you notice to the space in between where you are and where you'd like to be. In between the in-breath and the out-breath, in between where you are and where you'd like to be. Hang out in that space that's in between where you are and where you'd like to be. Nothing and something. That's amazing. It's a practice. And then we'll share next week. But before we didn't give our Jean and Dee and Vanessa, we're on schedule just about, but we cannot close without your sharing whatever is sitting there for you. Did you guys hear me? Jean and Dee and Vanessa, did you guys hear me? You have your closing share.
Well, I'm grateful for all the sharings, and it really brings home that I'm not alone. Thank you. I want to echo what someone said earlier about choosing to walk in peace. Every time I go into separation, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, Ashe, beautiful.
One of the things that came up for me was remembering when I first started working with Sister Reverend Dr. Clara, and it's years ago. And I can remember sitting thinking, what is she talking about? And I'm thinking about that now and what I got from all of that is that the activity of my mind was keeping me from understanding what she was saying. I had so much activity going on and trying to figure out what she was saying. So as I sit here now, I'm thinking, oh, okay, I have had some growth and able to allow, because that I had resistance to all this allowing conversation. And now I see the importance of it, opening to it, and this whole conversation is showing me the then and the now of me. and where I am, where I was, all of that. So I appreciate this. I appreciate everybody sharing, and and hopefully I'll be able to hear better as time goes on, because I don't want to miss any of it. So thank you guys for doing this, and I'm complete.
Shay, thank you very much. Dee, any closing thoughts if you have them?
I'm left with where our intention goes, our brain goes. I'm also left with inhaling and exhaling, like the comments that you both made on that. And I'm very thankful to be here.
Ashe, we're very thankful for you and for everyone here this evening, and we can dismiss with a word of prayer, if that's all right.
Oh, I have one more question. I know you guys do this on YouTube. Can I go back and look at it on YouTube?
That's right, Eric? It should be on the YouTube. You have to go to the guidance page and then click live, and it should be the latest of the live streams.
And it's called Guidance Page?
Yeah, it may, yeah.
Claire, could you just text that to me tomorrow, please?
She said, okay, she will.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so yeah, taking an opportunity here to acknowledge that force, which is that zero, that one, and everything in between, of possibility, of purity, of potential, of every phase of human emotion and property of functioning, that it's all well. It's not that one is better than another, but this is one of the ways that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, with full consciousness, with full will, with ability beyond what we may even know and understand in a human context. And we realize that there's always room to learn more about ourselves, to know more, to understand more, to allow more, and to create more. And that this can be our taking and assuming our divine right and our divine capacity, capabilities, and with great gratitude for all that is at our fingertips and in store for us to live out and carry out, and to be who we be and truly not worry about the rest. For traveling grace for each one, going our separate ways this evening until we meet again. Amen. Ashe. So it is.
Yes.
Yeah, we got some refreshments, please. Yeah, please. Yes, you're going for a moment, yeah.